Have you ever heard of a country where history seems to repeat itself on schedule? In Burundi, every 10 to 15 years, the social clock rings loudly. Daily life is full of paradoxes. Jogging in groups can get you in trouble. Most meals are mandatory vegetarian, and people live without houses, electricity, Wi-Fi, or nightlife. Solid houses are rare. Thatched huts are the norm. Curious, yet Burundi still hides even more surprises. Let's dive in right now. Number 15. The recurring cycle of unrest in Africa. Can you believe there's a country where tragic history repeats itself like clockwork? That's Burundi, a small East African nation about the size of Maryland, but trapped in a strange cycle of violence that resurfaces every 10 to 15 years. Researchers call this phenomenon the Burundi vortex, a historical puzzle the country hasn't been able to escape. Since gaining independence in 1962, Burundi has been plagued by events rooted in ethnic and political tensions. In 1965, the prime minister was assassinated, unrest broke out, and the military responded with harsh crackdowns. By 1972, a widespread uprising left heavy scars, wiping out much of the intellectual class, a tragedy later known as Ikiza. The cycle didn't stop there in 1988. More than 20,000 people were affected in just a few months in the provinces of Ontega and Marangara. In 1993, when Burundians held their first democratic election, the newly elected president Melchior Ndadaye was killed just 3 months into office. This sparked a 12-year civil war, 1993 to 2005, that turned many villages to ashes and forced millions to flee their homes. Streets were deserted, schools closed, and people sought refuge in makeshift camps. The cycle repeated again in 2015 when incumbent President Pierre Nkurunziza decided to run for a third term. Widespread conflict erupted in the capital Bujumbura, car horns blaring, thick smoke filling the air, all becoming haunting memories. Over 400,000 Burundians fled to neighboring countries like Rwanda, Tanzania, and Congo for safety. What do you think of this recurring cycle? Will Burundi ever break free from this historical vortex? Or will the 10 to 15-year cycle keep repeating? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 14. You can't get a Burundi visa on arrival. While many African countries like Kenya and Tanzania allow international visitors to get a 30-day visa on arrival at the airport, Burundi is a tricky exception. Many travel websites, even the UK Foreign Office, still say you can get a visa on arrival at Bujumbura Airport. The reality is very different. The only thing you can get at the border is a 3-day transit visa for about $30. That means you have exactly 72 hours to stay, mainly for transit or short layovers. If you want to stay longer, like 30 or 90 days, you must prepare in advance. The most popular option is Burundi's e-visa system, $90 for 30 days, or up to $270 for 90 days. Some countries, like the US, have special agreements allowing citizens to get a 30-day visa on arrival for $90. But for most international travelers, there's no way around applying before your flight. Many travelers who've been to Burundi say that if you plan to stay about 10 to 15 days, sometimes it's cheaper to get the 3-day transit visa and then extend it at the Bujumbura Immigration Office. The extension costs about $20 to $70. Compared to neighbors like Rwanda, which has a fast 3-day e-visa process, or Uganda, which offers a $100 East Africa visa for all 3 countries. Burundi's visa policy is clearly more complicated and less tourist-friendly. Number 13. Jogging is banned. Do you often go jogging for exercise or just take a stroll with family or friends? That sounds perfectly normal in most countries, but not in Burundi. Since 2014, the Burundian government has enforced a very unusual law. Jogging in groups of 2 or more is banned. Why authorities believe this seemingly harmless activity could be used to organize disguised protests, threaten political stability, and stir up sensitive ethnic tensions. Ironically, the person who signed the ban, former President Pierre Nkurunziza, was once a physical education teacher and a well-known sports enthusiast. Since then, many opposition leaders have been arrested simply for jogging with friends. As a result, Burundi is now one of the very few countries in the world where a global sport has become a political issue. Not only that Burundians have a very different habit, they rarely go for long walks to relax. Walking is only for essential needs, going to the market, school, or a neighbor's house. Scenes of families strolling in the park or couples holding hands on the street are almost non-existent, a stark contrast to the healthy living, jogging, and walking culture in many developed countries. Number 12. The mandatory vegetarian nation. Can you believe there's a country where almost the entire population is forced to be vegetarian? It's not because of religion or government policy, but simply because people can't afford meat. That's Burundi. According to the FAO and World Food Program, over 90% of Burundians' calories come from plant-based foods, mainly grains, tubers, and beans. Over 81% of the population lives below the poverty line, and 67% can't afford a fully nutritious diet. Agriculture is the backbone of the economy, but even so, the average food output only covers less than 2 months of annual needs. The rest of the year, people struggle to get by. As a result, meat and fish are rare delicacies, only seen at festivals, weddings, or major events. Red beans are known as Burundi's meat, providing the main source of protein. Corn is ground into flour for ugali. Green bananas, sweet potatoes, cassava, and cassava leaves are the soul of every meal. The result? The monotonous diet means over 50% of Burundians suffer from chronic malnutrition. One classic disease is kwashiorkor, a severe protein deficiency, where children have swollen bellies and peeling skin, even though they get enough calories from starch. Number 11. The US dollar is king in Burundi. Did you know that in Burundi, the US dollar is so valuable that many people consider it even stronger than the local currency? A vlogger once shared that when she crossed the land border from Tanzania to Burundi, she was surprised to see local money changers offering rates even higher than those shown on Google. At first, this might make you worry about counterfeit bills, but in reality, US dollars are so popular and widely used in Burundi that they're seen as the safest choice. For example, some travelers report exchanging $100 for about 170,000 Burundian francs, a much better rate than at official banks. Even old US bills printed before 2009, which are often rejected in other African countries, are accepted here without much fuss. The most famous place to exchange money is the black market in the capital, Bujumbura. Despite the shady-sounding name, it's just an area with lots of money exchange booths, and you can even find it on Google Maps. Both locals and foreigners come here for the best rates. Interestingly, there have been cases where people went to a bank to exchange money only to be directed to the black market by the bank staff themselves, since banks don't handle foreign currency exchange directly. At number 10, Burundi broke up and made up with the United Nations. Did you know Burundi once made headlines by announcing it was leaving the United Nations? In 2016, after the UN Human Rights Council published a report accusing Burundi's military and security forces of crimes against humanity during the political crisis surrounding President Pierre Nkurunziza's bid for a third term, the Burundian government reacted strongly. The parliament voted to withdraw from the International Criminal Court and cut ties with some UN human rights agencies, calling it blatant interference in domestic affairs. This made Burundi the first country in the world to officially leave the ICC, shocking the international community. However, mounting diplomatic and economic pressure, along with the need to keep development aid, eventually forced Burundi to rejoin UN activities. Today, it remains an active member of many international organizations. In fact, Burundi even served as vice president of the 77th UN General Assembly, a rather ironic comeback given their earlier withdrawal. Number 9. Women are banned from national drum ceremonies. If you've ever heard of Burundi, you've probably heard about the royal drums, the country's most sacred and famous cultural symbol. The drums are made from solid wood and can weigh up to 220 pounds. But Burundian drummers don't just play with their hands. They can balance these giant drums on their heads while dancing and performing. The lively drum beats symbolize strength, unity, and national pride. At many events, the crowd grows when the drums play and shrinks when they're missing. For international visitors, the royal drum performance is often ranked as one of the world's must-see traditional shows. But here's a controversial fact. Since 2017, the Burundian government has banned women from performing drums in official ceremonies. This surprised many since history records several talented female drummers. The government claims the drums are a sacred symbol linked to male strength, so women can't participate in national ceremonies, only in some small community events. Number 8. Burundians are extremely friendly. If there's one thing that leaves a lasting impression on visitors to Burundi, it's the unbelievable friendliness and openness of the people. Here, anyone you meet, from market vendors and bus drivers to students, can greet you with a big smile and a cheerful "Bonjour" or "Hello Burundians." Don't just say hi, they're genuinely willing to help. Imagine if you get lost, a local might drop everything to walk you to your destination before returning to their own business. If your car breaks down, a few young men will rush over, pop the hood, and fix it for you like pros. When they're done, they just smile, say goodbye, and pedal off, never asking for anything in return. Since French is widely spoken in Burundi, many locals will start conversations just to practice their language skills. Sometimes you'll find yourself in a long chat on a bus or in the street, where they're curious about your life and culture and really want to hear your story. But be prepared, you'll attract a lot of attention, especially from children. Many kids might skip class just to follow you around, watching your every move simply because your white skin seems like a miracle to them. One difference from neighboring countries: Burundians really don't like having their photo taken. Even if they just greeted you warmly, if you raise your camera, they might quickly turn away, cover their face, or wave you off. Kids might even run away. Number 7. Bicycles are as valuable as a Mercedes-Benz or Rolls-Royce. In New York or Paris, a bicycle is just for exercise or weekend fun. But in Burundi, it's the opposite. A bicycle is as prized as a Mercedes-Benz or Rolls-Royce. According to the World Bank, Burundi's average annual income is only about $240 to $260, among the lowest in the world. So owning a $60 to $80 bicycle means spending several months' income, a luxury many families can't afford. In reality, only about 10 to 15% of households own a bike, making it a symbol of wealth. In some rural areas, a man who owns a bicycle is almost guaranteed a yes when proposing marriage because it shows he can provide for a family. Bicycles aren't just for personal transport, they're vital for making a living. A man in Gitega might haul 100 to 150 kilograms, 220 to 330 pounds of bananas or charcoal from the countryside to the market, earning a few dollars a day. On steep hills, bikes become hand trucks, slowly pushing huge loads that would require a pickup truck in the U.S. Because bikes are used so heavily, bike repair is a backbone industry in many towns. In Bujumbura, you'll find a repair shop every few hundred yards where mechanics make a living by changing tires, welding frames, or customizing old bikes imported from Asia and Europe. Number 6. Sagging pants are banned. The sagging pants style was once a street fashion icon in America in the 1990s, tied to hip-hop and rap culture. Many famous U.S. artists made this trend popular worldwide. But in Burundi, authorities see sagging pants as disrespectful to the community and inappropriate. People wearing sagging pants may be publicly warned, by police fined, or if they repeat the offense, even detained. This reflects Burundi's efforts to control public dress and maintain a respectable national image, resisting rowdy Western trends. Not just sagging pants, revealing outfits, very short skirts, or see-through tops are also frowned upon. So if you're visiting Burundi, here's some important advice: dress neatly and modestly. This not only helps you avoid trouble with the police, but also shows respect for the local culture, which values decency and simplicity. Number 5. The nation that never grows old, forever young. Sounds like a dream, right? But it's actually the reality in Burundi, a country with an average life expectancy of just 62 years. Much lower than the global average of 73, and even lower than neighboring Kenya, 67, or Rwanda, 69. Yet what surprises many is that despite the short lifespan, Burundi has a super young population. Over 65% are under 25 and nearly 40% are under 15. That means if you walk the streets of Bujumbura, 7 out of 10 people you meet are teenagers or kids. The reason is the extremely high birth rate. While in the U.S., each woman has on average 1.6 children, in Burundi, it's 5 to 6 children. Having many kids is a cultural norm. In an agricultural society, large families mean more farm labor, old age insurance, and are a source of pride for parents. In many developed countries, societies are aging rapidly, even facing crises due to low birth rates. But in Burundi, it's the opposite. A small country of nearly 13 million, mostly Gen Z and Alpha, it feels like Burundi is living in a never-ending demographic sprint. Number 4. People are forbidden from physically fighting each other. It might sound strange, but it's true in Burundi. People rarely get into street fights. If you wander Bujumbura in the afternoon, you might see a scene that makes your heart skip. A dozen muscular young men standing across the road, yelling, waving their arms, looking ready to brawl. The noise is so intense that bystanders quickly move aside, expecting a fight to break out any second. But look closer and you'll notice something odd. No punches are thrown. Instead, there are just shoulder bumps, chest pushes, or aggressive charges that stop short. This reflects a unique reality in Burundi. According to the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, personal disputes account for less than 7% of violence in Burundi, much lower than the sub-Saharan African average of 15 to 20%. Sociological studies show that Burundians suppress direct violence out of fear of punishment. Street fights are considered public disorder and can result in jail time from 2 months to 3 years, plus a fine. In a society where the average income is just $240 to $260 a year, paying a fine of even a few dozen for a fistfight is a luxury no one can afford. Instead, people blow off steam with loud shoving matches, noisy and tense, but with little risk of police or jail. Number 3. No houses, no electricity, no internet, no nightlife. Can you imagine living somewhere where no house, no electricity, no internet is just normal? In Burundi, except for a few small urban areas, most people don't have sturdy homes like we do. Families live year-round in thatched huts with no beds or mattresses. At night, instead of soft beds, they just lay a thin mat on the dirt floor. Electricity. For us, it's as simple as flipping a switch. But in Burundi, only about 7 to 10% of households are connected to the grid. So 9 out of 10 homes are in total darkness every night. Internet. While the modern world is online, 24/7 here only 3 to 12% of people have access. Imagine in New York or LA, a day without Wi-Fi could throw an entire office into chaos. But in Burundi, most people live their whole lives without ever logging onto Google or Facebook. Even cell phones are a luxury. Some people can buy a phone, but since there's no outlet at home, they have to pay to charge it at a shop, just like stopping at a gas station every time you want to use your phone. Infrastructure. It's just as tough. The whole country has less than 1,250 miles of paved roads. Most highways are just red dirt tracks. In the dry season, it's dusty like a desert. In the rainy season, they turn into muddy swamps. And when the sun sets, daily life comes to a halt. After 6 p.m., there are no streetlights, supermarkets, or cafes. Even downtown Bujumbura is dark and quiet, like a remote rural town. Number 2. Two capitals with opposite lifestyles. Most countries we know have just one capital, but there are interesting exceptions. South Africa has 3, Bolivia has 2, and in Africa, Burundi, a country about the size of Maryland, joins this rare club. What's special is that Burundi's two capitals, Gitega and Bujumbura, have totally opposite personalities. Gitega became the political capital in 2019, replacing Bujumbura. Located in the center of the country, it's convenient for government management. With a population of about 200,000 similar to a mid-sized U.S. city like Boise, Gitega is small and quiet home to the Supreme Court Parliament and many ministries. It's also known for the National Museum of Burundi, which preserves hundreds of royal and cultural artifacts. Streets are calm, surrounded by green hills and small markets. In contrast, Bujumbura, the former capital, is still the economic and cultural hub. It's the largest city with over 1.2 million people, about the size of Dallas. Located on the shore of Lake Tanganyika, the world's second longest freshwater lake, 418 miles long and 4,820 feet deep, just behind Russia's Lake Baikal, Bujumbura holds a strategic position. It has the main commercial port serving as a gateway for trade with Congo, Tanzania, and Zambia. Most banks, businesses, international hotels, and universities are here. Life is bustling, the central market is always crowded, and lakeside cafes and bars stay lively late into the night. So if you ever visit Burundi, where would you rather stay? The peaceful, historic Gitega or the vibrant lakeside Bujumbura? Let us know in the comments. Number 1. Real Christmas trees are banned. Can you imagine a festive Christmas without the fresh scent of pine? In Burundi, after years of deforestation for firewood and war, the government banned real Christmas trees in 2005 to stop the annual cutting season that used to fell about 80,000 trees, about 80 hectares of forest each year. Back then, forest cover had dropped to just 4 to 5%, a sharp decline from before 1993. This decision changed the holiday rhythm in Bujumbura's markets. Green banana stalks, palm leaves, and fake trees now replace the pine bundles that once flooded the capital. But fake trees cost about $65, while a real one used to be just $5. So many families have to get creative making decorations from dried fruit vines or recycled paper lanterns. Nature-wise, cutting 80,000 trees each season was an instant blow to the green belts around farms and mountain slopes, where roots hold the soil and prevent erosion. With low forest cover, the risks of landslides, dried up streams, and loss of bird habitats rise sharply during the rainy season. The government now encourages alternatives, reusable fake trees or potted native plants like banana palm or acacia, keeping the festive spirit alive while easing pressure on the country's fragile forests. So Burundi appears both paradoxical and fascinating. Which fact shocked you the most? If you could choose, would you stay in quiet Gitega or lively Bujumbura by Lake Tanganyika? Tell us in the comments. We read them all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next adventures. If you enjoyed this, share the video so more people can discover Burundi. A single comment from you helps it reach even further.